Welcome back to Bulldogs Live. It is great to be back. Voice of the Bulldogs, Reed Duthie, and we are catching up with one of the Bulldogs fan favorites, the man, the myth, the legend, the triple overtime hero himself, Liam Van Loon. Liam, thanks so much for joining us.
Yeah, thanks, Reed, for having me back here.
Now, it's been a little while. We kind of took the summer off. Everybody got some rest in, and I know everybody's been following the developments around the OHL, the return to play, the setup, what's going to happen. It looks like we have our dates, November 15th for camp, December 1st for the start of the season. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling great. I mean, it's been an extended off season, right? So I've been taking advantage of this time. I mean, I've been going hard since March and just getting ready to be back. I mean, that day's coming by quick, and we're super excited to be back.
It is coming really quick. And on that note, we've got some things to remind you of as the season is coming up fast. The CHL Bulldogs app, download the CHL app in the App Store. There were some bugs. A lot of them have been fixed. So you can rest easy that is coming along quickly. Bulldogs over the next couple of months will be providing experiences for fans to participate in contests to win. Get notifications straight to your home screen on important updates and contests. We're making it easy for you to get involved with your Hamilton Bulldogs. Something we'll be talking with Liam about. It is the Jan Mysak 2020 Draft Special presented by our wonderful friends at First Ontario Credit Union. All next week, we're going to be showcasing the best of Jan Mysak. Fans will have the chance to guess where he will end up and win a signed puck from the team he gets drafted to, plus a 2-hour special airing on October the 5th featuring tons of guests, including Jan Mysak himself. And, of course, you've heard about them online on social media, Bulldogs masks, now available. They are 90% sold out. Get them at bulldogshop.com. Do not delay. Get to bulldogshop.com today. Additionally, 40% off of all Bulldogs hats. And I will probably be heading to the shop site right after this is over to pick up a couple myself for the new season. Liam, we talked about last season how it didn't end on the note that everybody wanted, but you look at the Bulldogs team as it comes in for the 2020-2021 season, the work that Steve Staios and Ian Mahar and the entire management group have done over this offseason. Colton Kammerer is added. You had Artem Grushnikov on the back end, Dorian Donovan, Jonathan Malee in the trap, Patrick Thomas is fine, plus the returning core. It's one of those tough things. You only lose 3 players in Isaac Nurse, Brady Johnson, Cade Landry, 3 tough players to replace, but most of the group that was really finding themselves last year is back.
Yeah, it's this group coming up is going to be a really exciting group. I mean, we lose some players like Nursey, Lance, and Johnny, and then we also have to trade away guys like Rennie. Frankie won't be here, but you know what? This team is going to be super exciting. I mean, I got to meet CK on the weekend playing in the golf tournament. I haven't got to talk to Grush yet or any of the younger guys, but I mean, I'm super excited to get started with those guys. And I know that this whole group is hungry. I mean, we talk every day and we're ready to go.
Now, as somebody who plays a Brad Marchand, Brandon Gallagher-esque style yourself, bringing over a player like Colton Kammerer has got to be really fun for you because there's another guy who plays hard, plays heavy, plays fast, and has a real great hockey IQ. Adding somebody like that to the back end that plays sort of that similar physical, intense style to you up front, that's got to feel good for you moving forward.
Yeah, it's really fun. I mean, I played against him all growing up when he played in Whitby, and he was always one of the toughest guys to play against. And even on Sarnia, I mean, playing against him, he's one of those guys who you know when he's on the ice and you know he's going to finish every hit. He's going to do all the little things to just piss you off and get in your head. And, I mean, he's going to be super exciting. He's going to be a great fit to this team.
Couple of comments rolling in. Carter Hart's wife. I don't know if that's actually true or somebody just really likes Carter Hart. Hey, Reed. Hello. Sprout says, awesome flow. Liam, we were talking about that before we went on air. It looks nice, Looner, and I think you've got some plans for what you were saying for this season. I don't want you to give anything away, but you've got some ideas.
Yeah, I got a couple ideas. I mean, it'll get cut at some point. Just how it gets styled and cut is going to be the real question up in the air right now.
Yeah, let's leave that up. We'll follow that up as the season gets going. And Nick Donofrio, Sup Looner. Hey, Nick, hope you are doing well, man. It's great to hear from you. One of those guys that on that run to the 2018 championship, when you made your debut, Liam, that season was a star in goal in behind Caden Coulter. I think Nick had one regulation loss that season or something ridiculous.
Yeah, he was Donald was awesome. I mean, he was my roommate all through those playoffs and everything. So me and him got pretty close.
So speaking of roommates and hockey, let's talk about the bubble. Because yesterday on social media advertising this, we had the picture of you blowing the bubble gum and called it bubble hockey. And we know that's what took place in the National Hockey League. What were your impressions of the bubble, or who are your impressions of the bubble as we're in the Stanley Cup final?
Yeah, I mean, that bubble is really interesting, and it's a really cool concept to get your head around. I mean, it's kind of like playing in a hockey tournament every day, and you go play, you go practice, and then you go back and you're just with the guys all the time. I mean, when you're in that bubble, you can't really focus on anything other than hockey, which can be awesome for some guys, and it could be the worst thing ever for other guys. I mean, some of the guys coming back to the gym here in London, they were talking about it and they were saying how like some of them loved it and they loved the fact that every meal was with the guys and all that stuff. But other guys were saying how sometimes it could be hard just because hockey's always on your mind in there.
Absolutely. And when you look at it through the first three rounds, I mean, I think one of the big highlights of this whole bubble tournament has been Steven Stamkos returning the other night for the Lightning. But what have you taken away? What have been some of the highlights for you watching the playoffs in a really different atmosphere this time?
Yeah, it's really different. I mean, I think it's really cool seeing the guys rally around each other a bit more. The fans really get to see how close every team is and how, like, what it takes in order to get to that point. I mean, the best example could be Stamkos's goal. They show that video of the bench after he scores that goal, and that whole bench just lightened up. And then all of a sudden, that game just starts to get a little bit out of hand. And I mean, that's just because of that atmosphere.
That moment reminded me of when Isaac Nurse came back last season and scored after he had been out with the ankle injury and scored in his first game back, and the bench exploded because the captain potted it. It seemed like a really similar atmosphere. That was the moment that can really pick you up and lift you. I remember the Bulldogs went on a bit of a run after Nurse returned to the lineup, and it feels like the same thing with the Lightning. I think they're going to be really difficult to stop now.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that Lightning team, they're extreme.
Uh-oh. I think we had a freeze with Liam Van Loon.
Pardon?
Oh, there we go. We got him back. We lost you for a second there, Liam. It froze up.
Yeah, for sure. But that Dallas team, I mean, we're all pulling for them because of Cammy, and obviously he was such a big part of that 2018 team. But Tampa's going to be a really tough task. They're so deep, and we're going to see what happens with Stamkos in the games coming up. But, yeah.
Any teams or players really surprise you this playoff season? Anybody really catch your attention?
New York, the Islanders, they were really fun to watch just because they play such a calm style of game, and you can't take that like for granted playing against them because they turn that puck so quickly and they can attack you off that rush like you guys are standing still. So that was one of those teams that was not surprising because I knew they were such a good team, but it was just awesome to see sort of how they play in their team dynamics.
You know, I was watching the Islanders, and of course, we know one of the guys behind the bench, and I'm watching the power play setup, and all I can think of is this looks awfully familiar. You know, Gleason, Thomas, Strome, Entwistle, Sagen. I mean, there was a lot of similarities to that power play that the Bulldogs ran in 2018, and a lot of similarities in style. I think John Gruden's fitting quite well in the National Hockey League.
Yeah, Grudes was an amazing coach when I was there. He taught me so much, and I mean, it looks like he's doing really well with the Islanders.
And it's got that same feeling that the Bulldogs 2018 team had, that you get down in a game, you don't panic. It's very, like you mentioned, very calm. And as soon as they get a chance on the rush, they strike. I feel like they're probably only a player or two away from being a very serious Stanley Cup threat.
Yeah, for sure. That team, they have so many players on that team that are underappreciated and just underrated in general. There's so many guys there that can put the puck in the net, and they also love just blocking shots and doing those little things that it takes to win a championship.
Absolutely. As we look at the Stanley Cup final, obviously it's playing on the heartstrings a bit because Nick Commano in for the Dallas Stars. Anton Hudobin is a great story. A guy who's been a career backup and has backstopped the Stars all the way to the final. Do you think Dallas can overcome the challenge? Do you think they can make it happen here in the end?
Yeah, I mean, I'm obviously pulling for Dallas because of Cammy. That Dallas team, they're a good team. They just got to keep that energy up. They're a really tough team to play against from what I can see when they're just going on all cylinders. And they have all their guys stepping up too. Both teams do, but it's going to be a full lineup thing if they want to win that. And I think they can do it.
They've got Nick Commano up. I don't know. I think Ben Gleason would look awfully good playing next to Miro Heiskanen. That's just my opinion, though. I don't know about that. It's Tiana Doherty says, my niece Lily is saying, Liam, I miss Liam. Hi, Liam. And that has got to make you feel really good. That's the kind of effect that you've had on the Hamilton fan base.
Yeah, that feels awesome. And I mean, I just can't wait to get back. I mean, that December 1st, I'm hoping that fans are going to be there because it's going to be a lot of fun this year. And we can't wait to spend it with these fans.
I mean, you're a London guy. Obviously grew up junior night. Grew up in the hockey craze community around the London Knights because as you were growing up, the Knights have been a dynasty team in the CHL. Really, a couple of the best teams that we've ever seen come out of the league have rolled through in your time watching them. But it feels like you've really become a Hamiltonian. And the work ethic, the style, the grit, the physicality, and that knack for big moments, you fit this city like a glove.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, right when I got to Hamilton, and I mean, this city is all about work. It's all about being gritty. It's all about just having pride in what you do and having all the chips in your corner and really just taking pride in everything you do. And right when I stepped foot here, I knew it was going to be an amazing fit. And there's nowhere else I want to be other than in Hamilton.
All right, let's take a break from hockey for a couple of minutes because I didn't realize this going into the offseason, but you and I share a passion, and I believe it's with a couple other people on that Bulldogs bus, but fishing.
Yeah.
When did you get into fishing?
Way when I was younger. I mean, I think I had a rod in my hand since I was 2.
Nice. Okay, so without giving away any of your secrets, whereabouts, I was going to say the exact location, but whereabouts are your favorite fishing spots?
Well, right now, I actually, before this video, was getting all my fishing stuff ready. I'm going on a trip tonight. I'll be out until probably 3 in the morning, but I'm going to Goderich tonight. There's a pretty good salmon run going through right now, and I'll be in Toronto on Tuesday at the Credit River just fishing for salmon too because it's supposed to rain.
Is salmon your favorite catch, or is it something else?
I love catching walleye. I love catching salmon. I love catching trout. I mean, those 3, it's just, they're so fun to fight. And I got a brand new rod. So, I mean, right now specifically, it's just those 3 fish because it's so cold and getting into fall. But I usually fish for everything.
Yeah, that's always been my philosophy on it is when I cast out, I'm looking for anything. I'll take anything that's in the lake. It doesn't matter what it is. So what's been your best catch or best catches this summer?
I had a 28-pound salmon in August, end of August, off my boat with my Dorchester buddies. So we were out at Port Hope, and yeah, we got 9 or 10 out of there that day, and yeah, it was a really good day. And then trout season, I had I think like a 20-pound trout, which is pretty massive for going through the river.
Okay, so pretty experienced. You clearly know what you're doing. When you're looking for salmon and trout, what do you prefer, live bait or do you like lures?
I'm not. Well, I got my new rod, so I've been fishing the rivers a lot just because it's a special float rod that goes with the current. So I've been using a lot of live bait, just a lot of salmon roe, a lot of worms, a lot of stuff like that, leeches. Just trying to see what they're hitting, and then once I find what they're hitting, then I just keep it on and keep hoping.
Oh, exactly. No, that's the best way to do it. Do you like to go single hook or treble?
I only go single hook. I don't believe in a treble hook unless it's on a lure.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I've been using trebles for bass fishing up in the Kawartha areas. And this summer had a couple of 3-pounders come into the boat. Oddly enough, same spot I was catching smallmouth bass, caught 2 pickerel that
Yeah.
were about 20, 21 inches apiece. And then I had a muskie hooked.
Yeah. Wow.
And the mistake that I made was I was rigged up for smallmouth bass, not thinking I was anywhere near muskie. So as we're bringing it in, I'm on a pontoon boat, and my father-in-law realizes we don't have a net.
Yeah. That'll do
So
it.
muskie's extending from one pontoon to the other. I'm trying to wrench him into the boat, and my line snapped.
Yeah, that's where you just got to grab it by the eyes. That way you don't get slimy.
I saw how big that thing was. I wasn't sticking my hand anywhere near that thing.
Yeah, never in the mouth, never in the gills, only in the eyes because they're so
Okay,
slimy.
we'll have to remember that one because safely you can thumb a bass, but do not try to thumb a muskie or a pike. That's a bad idea. I've seen people try it.
Yeah, your thumb might get a little chewed up.
Absolutely. Where would be like a dream fishing vacation for you? Would you like to do deep sea somewhere up in the northern rivers where they're getting sturgeon and giant trout? What would be if Liam Van Loon could have his way and a dream fishing trip? Where would it be, and what would you be catching?
I'd love going to like either Alaska or BC for a salmon or trout run. That would be extremely cool because you get to see all those videos and all the pictures and whatever of the runs. But another one that would be really cool that not many people would like choose would be I'd like to go to like Texas or one of those like hot states and just target bass and just go fishing for bass because down there you can get 6-7 pound bass, which is pretty crazy because up here you're lucky to get 1 or 2 pounds here in London. So yeah, those things can fight like crazy.
Yeah, you got to go north of Peterborough to hit anything bigger than about 2.5 pounds.
Yeah, for sure.
And you're right. Once you get one on, it is an exhilarating fight. They are a lot of fun. One that I would recommend for you is off the coast of PEI, Nova Scotia, deep sea fishing for cod and mackerel.
Yeah.
Great eating fish, and mackerel will fight like hell when you hook them. They're not the biggest fish, but you wouldn't know the difference when you hook into one because they go ballistic. It is a lot like catching bass. It was so much fun on that boat until my brother brought up a puffer fish that was already puffed out and freaked out pretty bad. I don't think he's gone fishing since then.
Yeah, I got a buddy out in Newfoundland. His name's Brett Budgel. He plays for PEI, or he plays for Charlottetown, and yeah, he always tells me about those stories.
Yeah, I think you'd have a good time with that. That would be a lot of fun. Sabrina Van Loon drops in.
Oh.
Hamilton is an amazing city. It's always a pleasure to make the drive from London to see Liam play. Well, I can speak from having grown up in Hamilton that I love the city. It's why I've never left. I went to school all the way through in Hamilton. Absolutely adore it. And getting to see Liam play, well, I've seen him play since he was with the Ancaster Avalanche. So I've always enjoyed it. I'll put it that way.
Yeah, she's been that's my aunt. She's been one of my biggest supporters ever since I started hockey. So yeah, it's awesome to always have them come down. I mean, that drive isn't too far, and I'm really lucky. Some guys have to have their parents come from North Bay or from Ottawa, wherever they're from, and I mean, I'm just super lucky.
No, absolutely, and that's one of the great things when you see the family being able to come to Hamilton. I see them downstairs a lot when I come down after a game, standing in the hallway, waiting to meet up with everybody. And I don't think I've ever been around an organization where there is such a family atmosphere because as soon as you get downstairs, parents, players, siblings, it feels like everybody knows everybody. And every time I get down there, I know I'm in for about 15, 20 minutes just talking to people and catching up. It's really a great atmosphere. And as we tour around the OHL, Liam, I don't see that same thing in a lot of other places. It feels really special to Hamilton.
Yeah, that's a big thing that I've noticed as well. I mean, Steve and Mr. Anlauer, they've been amazing at just always welcoming the parents, always making sure that we're always good, but that the parents are reassured and the family members are reassured that they're always welcome. It's an open door in Hamilton, and that if they ever want to come down, if they ever want to talk, if they ever want to see us, it's always open. So that's been really nice.
How have your workouts been going since the last time we talked? Probably, I think back in May. How have you been prepping for the season to get back underway? Because it's a strange offseason. This one is very, very long. How have you been keeping engaged?
Yeah, well, last year when I had my knee surgery, I didn't really get an off season, so to speak. So I only had about 4 weeks to really get ready for the season. And this year's having this extended off season, I kind of treated it as if it was going to be two separate off seasons. So I've really been pushing my body, trying to get back that time I missed from surgery this year from March until now. And I've got to give a huge shout out to the guys here in London at TPH. I mean, my trainers, Mitch Stewart, Trevor Williamson, and Josh Fitzpatrick. They've been all amazing at just making sure my body's all in motion, all in one piece. And the guys on ice here, Dwayne Blaze and Kev, they've just been amazing at making sure that I'm always on my 2 feet. I'm always doing the right things, and I'm really getting more tools so I can bring them out in Hamilton.
Wow, that's going to be great to see when you get back onto the ice here in Hamilton. And as you look at the season coming up, before we get to November 15th and December 1st, the NHL draft is going to occur. And this year for the Bulldogs, it's a big one. You've got both Jan Mysak and Logan Morrison that are both very likely going to be drafted. I think both are definitely going to be drafted at this point, seeing the rankings. I want to start with Logan Morrison because you've played a lot of minutes on ice with Logan. He's a guy that I have been screaming from the rooftops is criminally underrated. I think we've seen him kind of move up in a lot of the rankings now as people start to look at more and more film on him and realize this guy's got a supercomputer between his ears. But what is it like playing on the ice with somebody in Logan Morrison who it feels like has eyes in every part of his head?
Yeah, I mean, you nailed it right on. I room with Mo, and Mo's one of those guys who I've had a great connection with, and on ice and off. He can see the ice like no one I've ever really played with. He'll know everywhere that me or Hazy at the time when we played together, whoever we're playing with, he knows where we are every second. He knows how to get into those little holes and hit those pockets. That is really important. And you know what? He will be a player. He's a player already, but he will be a really impactful player going forward.
It seems to me that, the 0-1s and the 0-2s for the Bulldogs are coming into a season where it's really going to be time to shine. And it felt like that was the group that was just about to make that turn at the end of last season. It felt like it was really coming along. Goals were starting to come. And, I mean, we saw you playing in every possible role, from playing on the top scoring line with Jan Unique and Arthur Kaliev to being an elite shutdown line with Brady Johnson and Isaac Nurse. And you look at all the other guys in your draft class and the one right after him, and it feels like this team is in really good hands, led by guys like yourself, Logan Morrison, Avery Hayes, Tag Bertuzzi, Arthur Kaliev, Jan Mysak, Nathan Staios. Stop me, I could keep going all day.
Yeah, I mean, the really nice thing about all of us is we all live really close together. So there isn't really a time where we're all not hanging out. I mean, it's either at the rink or it's at the billet houses. We're always together. And I mean, even throughout this quarantine and throughout all this stuff happening, I mean, I've been talking to all those guys every day, and I know they've all been talking to each other and getting in contact. We just actually had a big Zoom call with the team. And after that, we had about a 45-minute talk with all the guys who could, just on FaceTime. And all the guys were just laughing, making jokes, doing everything like that. And I mean, this 01, 02 group is really close, and we can say the same thing about the 03s. I mean, the 03s have come in, Wentz, Shirky, Whitey, all those guys, they've just came in flawlessly, and they are an extremely important part of this team, and we're always with them. So
yeah, this is the kind of group that you feel could really do something special. And then I look at two guys in Jorian Donovan and Jonathan Malee, who come out of that U18 loop in the Ottawa area and really ran through a U18 league at 15 years old. I mean, it feels like they're adding two really good talents there. Artyom Grushnikov steps in. He's an 03. Kammer steps over. That'll help the back end. And then I'm not counting out Patrick Thomas either, who is a ridiculously talented forward who broke Steve Stamkos's point scoring record with the Hamilton Huskies. It just feels like this team consistently produces talent after talent after talent.
Yeah, it's we have a really great development program here in Hamilton with all the coaches, and I know those guys coming in, their transition from going from minor to coming into the O is not going to be as hard as they think it's going to be because they've got an amazing coaching staff who's just ready to help them learn.
Now, let's talk about Jan Mysak, because this is the guy that arrived at midseason. At one point during the year, he scored 2 hat tricks in 7 days. He was on the Czech Republic junior team at 17 years old. This is a ridiculously talented forward that is being talked about as a high first-round pick. What did you notice right away from Jan Mysak when he arrived?
Definitely his ability to just skate with the puck at full speed, but be able to scan the ice at the same time. I mean, his hands, his whole body's connected into one. His hands can move at the same speed as his feet, and he will make you pay if you make one sudden movement, one wrong move. I've seen it multiple times in practice, in games, everything. He's a lights out player.
I look at the first round, and you know, you can't go back in time. You wonder what the numbers would have looked like if Jan had arrived in September as opposed to January and played with Jan Jeník for part of the season as well, and you know the rest of you guys in the mix. But even with what he did, better than a point per game at 17 years old, that's a pretty special talent. You look at that first round, Liam, it's a deep first round this year. Whereabouts would you think Jan Mysak is going to land in that first round? I don't want to put any pressure on you to pick a team, but whereabouts do you think he should go, and where do you think he will go?
I personally don't think he should go less than 10. He should be in that top 10 for sure. I mean, I played with him all year, and I've seen so many things. His toolbox is just endless with amounts of things he can do. But like you said, this draft is going to be so deep, so it'll be interesting to see exactly where he goes. He shouldn't go less than 10, but if he does, it won't be later than 2025.
I totally agree with you. I made the prediction before we went on air, and I'm going to share it with everybody. And I am not eligible for an autograph puck. Don't worry. I'm not eligible for the contest. I think if he's still on the board at number 15, the pick that the Leafs acquired in the Kasperi-Kapanen trade, I think is going to be Jan Mysak. Just too many things fit there. They can keep him very local. He's going to be right there in Hamilton with them watching along from Toronto. He is an explosive talent. He fits in with what the Leafs want, is that high-speed, high-tempo offense. I mean, I think of, 3-4 years down the road, him and Mitch Marner together would be, boom. I just think there are too many things that fit the bill. I know a lot of Leafs fans want a defenseman, but I think if you're looking and projecting out what that lineup's going to look like in 2 years when you need entry-level contracts, Jan Mysak's the kind of guy that could be a really big impact player as soon as he makes the jump to the National Hockey League.
Yeah, I agree completely.
All right. Well, I like having the consensus there. Matt Foster writes in, Liam, what's your favorite color? I'm a big fan.
Favorite color is green. Always been it growing up, and that's probably just because I grew up in London being a Knights fan.
That makes perfect sense. Who are your favorite players growing up when you were watching the London Knights?
Bo Horvat was a really big one. He was an awesome talent to just watch out of London. He was awesome. And then the Rupert twins, the Rupert brothers, those guys were just super fun to watch on ice. The way they just went about their business and handled anything that came at them. They were sort of Swiss Army knives, and that was pretty cool to watch. But there was so many talents out of London, like Domi, Marner, Horvat, Ollie Olivi, Ollie Mata. Like the list goes on out of London that in the times that I can remember. I mean, that I just had so many great guys to watch.
So before the Bulldogs arrived in Hamilton, I was a London Knights fan growing up because Hamilton didn't have an OHL team to root for. And I remember just absolutely idolizing Rick Nash when he was a London Knight, and what an incredible force he was. And then that 04-05 team during the lockout, the team that probably never should have happened but did, with Perry and Shrimp and Hunter and Savret and Fritchie, Girardi. You look at the number of guys off that team that eventually went to the NHL. It was really something. I mean, London has had a lot of great players to watch, and it really feels like Hamilton is starting to build that same thing where, we could be watching an interview 20 years from now of somebody talking about they watched Van Loon and Morrison and Mishak and Kaliev when they were kids watching the Bulldogs.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, Hamilton's one of those cities. It's a big city, big time city. We love just playing for the city. And I mean, we have so many talents right now within this organization that it wouldn't surprise me at all one day down the line talking about a bunch of guys off this team playing pro, whether it's in the NHL, AHL, or overseas.
I think that's something that goes really underrated when people talk about guys going pro. It's guys that go to the AHL, guys that go to Europe. You're still playing pro hockey. Just because it doesn't have the N in front of the HL doesn't make it any less spectacular that you're able to get there. If you can play in Europe, trust me, I've spent a lot of time watching those leagues. It's not easy. It's not easy to play in the CHL to begin with, and then to turn pro is difficult. I think there needs to be more of an emphasis on when guys turn pro. That's a huge accomplishment. A very, very minute percentage of players that ever put on tape to get to that point. And everybody that right now we're watching with the Bulldogs is that one step closer to being there.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, pro, no matter where you are, it's obviously an amazing thing to happen. And I mean, for a hockey player, you look at it, you're playing the game you love and you're getting paid to do it. You're making a livelihood out of it. You can support your family out of it. And for most guys, there's nothing else you would really want to do. I mean, if you get to play the game you love, it's doing what you love and loving what you do. And that's what teachers tell you growing up, your parents tell you growing up, all your guidance counselors, when they say choose your future, they always say that. And I mean, I think it's the same thing for a hockey player. I mean, if you can do that, then I mean, there's nothing better.
Well, I'll tell you, it's the same thing for a hockey announcer too, because it was the same thing I was saying to guidance counselors when I was in high school. One of these days, I will be on broadcast radio or television calling hockey. And I've been very blessed to be able to live that dream and to continue to as we get set for next season. What's left for you this offseason, Liam? What are you going to be working on as we get closer to training?
Yeah. Well, it'll be lots of fishing. It'll be making sure I have that balance between hockey and just my life. But going from a hockey perspective, this summer has really been one about me balancing and maturing my game. So it'll just be more of that. It'll be more, I'm just excited to keep being on the ice and keep adding to my skill set. And this year, I feel like I'm going to have an opportunity to be able to show everyone my skill set, the things that I'm great at doing, and the way I can impact the game. And
go ahead.
Nope, go ahead. Sorry.
Nope. I was going to say, what's left for you fishing this summer? Or this fall now? What are the targets that you've got set up before we get back to games?
The trout run starts in a couple weeks, so that's always a really fun one. But yeah, that'll be the big ones for me.
Now, what size trout are you expecting to get out of the runs?
You never know. It'll really depend. I want a brown trout this year. I've never caught one, so that'll be a good one.
Okay, well, what I'm going to tell you is if you can nab a brown trout, send it into us, and we can plaster that all over Bulldog social media that Liam Van Loon accomplished the brown trout, to keep up with you on that. Because I think now that we know we've got a few fishermen around the team, we've got to make this a bit of a thing so that we can keep this going. Not a lot of people get into it. Not a lot of people get into it now, but it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, for sure. We definitely need a competition. I mean, Hazer's always snapping me and texting me with all the pictures of his fish. And I mean, Frankie, when he was here, same thing, Humphrey. So we got to get a big competition going, big tournament.
Well, you know who the ringer is, though? You got to be careful, because I understand that Casey is the competition guy.
Oh, Kaser is definitely the competition guy. He's out in Belleville, and he's got one of the best walleye spots for right now. So I actually always snap him or text him when I got him pictures of all the stuff I got, and I usually bring him down some fish at the start of every year. So
He's an absolute beauty. But yeah, I don't know if I want to get into a fishing competition with him because that guy seems like he would be the ringer. Everybody's talking about the fish they catch. I could see him pulling in monsters into the boat, and the rest of us are all standing there just going, "Well, we tried."
yeah, for sure. I'm definitely up for the challenge though.
Absolutely. Okay, we're gonna have to work on this and see if we can get this, and then maybe Storm can come out and film it for us as well. We can put a package together about a Bulldog. We didn't get the golf tournament in this year, but we can get the Bulldog fishing derby at some point, maybe.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
All right, Liam. As we start to wrap up here, what are your thoughts for the fans? Because we don't know exactly how this is all going to look when we get back to it. We don't know if they're going to be in the building right away. We don't know when they're going to be back in. Really, we're kind of still in that motion of we have dates, we have something to look forward to, but the details are still being filled in as we go. And to that end, the CHL's done a spectacular job of filling in the details as we go. But what would your message to the fans of Hamilton be?
My message would probably just be patient and just trust in us. I mean, we're gonna be ready for when you guys are there in the arena, or if you aren't, we're gonna play the exact same way that we always do. And if you guys aren't, we're always gonna be thinking about you guys. And we just can't wait to get back into Hamilton because that December 1st first game of the year timeline is right around the corner, and I know every single guy is extremely excited to get back and is working their butt off to just get into it.
I know the Hamilton Bulldogs feed off that crowd. You can see it when there's a big crowd at First Ontario Center. But can you also feed off the anticipation of crowds coming back, knowing that you might only be a few weeks, a few days, a few hours away from a crowd being back in the building? Will that be something the team's able to really feed off of to get going?
For sure. And you've seen it in the past. We strive off those fans. I mean, people, all my buddies from London and area, they always tell me how hard of a game it is playing in Hamilton because our fans are some of the best fans in the league. And that's not coming from us. That's coming from other teams. So, I mean, you guys are such an important part of our hockey journey and part of this team. You guys have such an impact on the game, just like when we're on the ice. So,
and stick with us because this year is going to be really fun. All right, before we go, let's run through this one more time because we've got stuff obviously to mention to the fans who might have been coming along and joining late. The Bulldogs CHL app, download it in the App Store. There were some bugs when it was first rolled out. That's been fixed. You can now rest assured that it is rolling, and there's a lot of great stuff coming on that app. Bulldogs over the next couple of months will be providing experiences for fans to participate in and contests to win. Get notifications straight to your home screen on important updates and contests. And, of course, an important update is the Jan Mysak 2020 Draft Show presented by our wonderful friends at First Ontario Credit Union. All next week, we'll be showcasing the best of Jan Mysak. And I've been going through a lot of video of that. It is tough to pick just the best, but it is going to be fun to get into. Fans will have the chance to guess where he will end up and win a signed puck from the team he gets drafted to. Again, remember, I made my prediction earlier. I'm not eligible to win that. A 2-hour Jan Mysak special will air on October the 5th, featuring tons of guests, including Jan himself. And, of course, your Hamilton Bulldogs masks, now available at bulldogshop.com. 90% sold out. Don't delay. Get to bulldogshop.com today. In addition, 40% off of hats. And Liam, as we close this thing up, our next guest, I was trying to figure out whether I was going to preview it today or not. He's checking his schedule, but he believes he's going to be ready to go this time again next Friday. Bulldogs first round pick Jorian Donovan, your future teammates. What are your thoughts on Jorian joining the show next week for catching up with the Bulldogs?
Yeah, that'll be I'll be definitely tuning in to watch. Cracking a couple jokes maybe in the comments section, but yeah, no, you'll enjoy it, and I know the fans will enjoy it. They'll really get to know Jorian and get to see what they're going to expect out of him.
Liam Van Loon, thank you so much, as always, for joining us. It's always a blast hanging out with you, even if we have to do it well-distanced apart for now. But can't wait to have you back in Hamilton. And, again, thanks so much for joining us. I know I'm saying that for myself and the fans.
Yeah, thank you guys again for having me, and can't wait to be back, and we'll be dancing when we're back.
Here we go. This has been an edition of Bulldogs Live in the Catching Up series. Tune in again this time next Friday. You will see Bulldogs' first round pick, we think, Dorian Donovan. Thanks for tuning in.